If I were a physical theologian and not one of those metaphysical ones that abound, I would surely begin by talking about natural soteriology. The word soteriology is formed from the Greek soteria, which means salvation, and logos, which means study. Therefore, it means the study of salvation. And we say it is natural because religions, priests, and not even God, intervene in the slightest to make salvation possible. If I were a natural theologian, I would surely talk about God in another video. But in this one, we will focus on the matter of natural existence after death. First, we have to stick to reality, see the facts of the world as they are, and not as we want them to be. The first thing we see in nature is that very few are saved. Those who survive are a minuscule number. A well-known example is the clownfish, where very few of the thousands of eggs hatch. The case of the sea turtle, which, when it hatches from its egg in the sand, has to go immediately to the sea, and very few survive. And this is so common in nature that I would dare to call it the law of large numbers, which tells me that a vast majority do not manage to save themselves or survive death. And about existing after death. We choose one of two possibilities, that after death we are nothing, or that we are something. We are free to choose either option. If we accept the option that we would be nothing, then there's no point in continuing to talk, turn off the video, and let's live however we can, convinced that we are completely screwed. If we accept that we will continue to exist in some way, then there is something to fight for. Reality teaches us that everything exists for a reason. There are motives. It doesn't have to be any different for our lives. So, let's suppose that after dying we are something. But if the afterlife exists, I will have to get there somehow. What will I take with me? The only thing I will take with me is my very being, myself, or, to use another word, the pneuma or the soul. If I dedicated my life to acquiring, then I didn't dedicate time to cultivating my being or soul. In the end, I will have an anemic, weak being, but I will certainly have many possessions, objects, and things because I cultivated the way of acquiring. So I take with me either a weak, incomplete soul, or a well-constructed, full, and fulfilled soul. I introduce two terms to clarify both situations. A weak, poorly constructed soul that suffers from ontopenia, a word formed from the Greek ontos, meaning being, and penia, meaning poverty. A healthy, fulfilled soul, which we will call a full soul or a pleroma, where pleroma comes from the Greek, meaning fullness. Thus, we would say that a well-formed, well-constructed soul would be a pleroma. So, we have two options. I take with me a soul with ontopenia or a soul with pleroma. Which will I take after death? I prefer to take a healthy soul, obviously. I have to take something of value. I can't leave empty-handed, so to speak. But how do I achieve a well-constructed soul? By living in the mode of being, not in the mode of having. But what do I have to do to achieve this? One must be careful. Along the way, everyone will tell me who I am and what I have to do. They don't know who I am, but neither do I. Therefore, it is necessary to know myself. In nature, only healthy beings manage to survive. The sick die and disappear. And the soul with pleroma is healthy. It is the one with the greatest chance of being saved and surviving. The ontopenic soul will surely be extinguished. But to cultivate my being and be more than I am, I have to know myself. So, the indispensable requirement for salvation is self-knowledge. What prevents me from knowing myself? It's simple. Not admitting reality and replacing it with fantasies. It's necessary to be honest and sincere and accept reality as it is. To see what we truly are, biological organisms programmed for reproduction, both physically and mentally. And we have no way out other than to understand the directives of the species and master them, to reprogram ourselves, and to remember how we were before instincts took the reins of our behavior and placed their objectives within us. That is, when we were children. We must avoid being a tool of the species, a drone whose only thought is to reproduce. It's necessary to avoid ontological dangers, such as ignorance. Serving onanistic practices is an ontological danger that prevents the realization of being. But there are others, such as having a flawed model of the world, or having attachments to the world while denying oneself. Ultimately, we must take a journey, and attachments to worldly things will act as anchors, preventing us from taking flight. What are the most common attachments? Onanism, reproduction, possession, and a few others. To address all aspects of natural soteriology in this video would be too lengthy. Fortunately, I've created a series of videos on this channel called The End of Old Age. These should be watched carefully and patiently. The points we've discussed here, and others, will be clarified in those videos. A book. Yes, I've already written it because I felt the need to, but these days nobody reads. So, if I wanted my fellow over 65s to understand these ideas, I had to present them in video format. But many of my friends have already left this world due to illness and old age, so I can't stop thinking about death and the possibility of navigating the eternal void. It would be irresponsible of me to indulge in fantasies to calm myself and deceive myself. Because dying is the most serious matter of our lives.